Blessings, good evening. We'll begin with a short meditation. If you're not sure what to do, if you're completely new, I'll just give some brief instruction on the practice of mindfulness of breathing, anapanasati. So try to find a comfortable posture so that you can sustain that posture for the next 10-15 minutes. Now, maybe close your eyes, bring your attention inwards, and pick a point where you're going to focus attention on the in and out breath. The feeling or the sensation of the in and out breath. And to find that point, maybe begin by just taking a few deep breaths. Bring the air in, follow the air coming in at the tip of your nostrils. And then notice your lungs swelling. Your abdomen raising with the in-breath. Then with the out-breath, notice how your abdomen falls back, the lungs deflate, shrink back, and the warmer breath from inside your body goes out at the tip of your nostrils. The Buddha encouraged us to know the breath. The short breath, the long breath, basically just whatever breath, whatever rhythm, whatever way your breath is, whether it's subtle or coarse, fast or slow, to pay attention to it, to know it. Using that as a way into understanding more about your body and your mind. Because normally our mind is easily distracted. We are caught up with different kinds of moods and thoughts. Thoughts about things that we like, that are interesting to us, what we tend to call thoughts rooted in greed, where we caught up into the attractive qualities of different things that we can remember or imagine, looking for pleasure, sense pleasure, so sight, sound, taste, smell, touch, memories about past pleasures, anticipation, wanting of future pleasure. And that's one set of thinking that occupies the mind. And then thoughts rooted in aversion, things we don't like, don't want, painful feelings, unpleasant experiences, remembering them, worrying about future ones, and so on. Or else all kinds of distraction. Delusions, distractions. So due to the presence of greed, anger and delusion, thoughts arising out of these three roots, our mind is easily distracted, normally speaking. But now we're training the mind, practicing with mindfulness of breathing, bringing the mind to pay attention to the feeling or the sensation of the in and out breath. You might pick a spot such as the tip of your nostrils. It doesn't have to be there. Just notice the sensation of the breath coming in and breath going out. If it helps, you can count your breath up to 10. So breathing in 1, breathing out 1, breathing in 2, breathing out 2, and so on, up until 10. Just as an extra additional method to help you keep attention with the breathing and with the sensation by counting. You don't have to count, that's just a suggestion. We need to train the mind to bring up mindfulness and sustain the mindfulness, the ability to pay attention or to know phenomena that are arising in the present moment, physical phenomena, mental phenomena. This is a central part of our practice of the Buddhist path, cultivating the quality of mindful knowing, being able to recollect or pay attention, using the breath to train that. So when you're with the breath, you can get to know the breath. You become familiar with the feeling of the breath, the rhythm of the breath. You can get to know how coarse your breath is or how subtle and refined it is. You may even notice in the course of one meditation your breath becomes more subtle, more refined. Maybe it slows down. The actual speed of your breathing slows down as you pay more attention to it. And if you meditate often and your mindfulness is more sustained, perhaps the feeling, the sensation of the breath becomes so subtle you can hardly detect it or can't detect it at all. Not because you're asleep, but simply because the movement of the breath has become very, very refined till it stops or seems to stop. But what obstructs us from knowing the breath is all the different thinkings, mental states, moods that we drop into out of habit. When the mind is not with the breath, it will be thinking about something. Thoughts rooted in greed, anger, delusion, distraction. Often, as we become settled in the body and the mind, we can fall asleep, experience drowsiness. Or sometimes, even when the mind is quite peaceful and mindfulness continuous with the breath, different thoughts pop into the mind, reactions to things, memories, seemingly out of the blue. And that thought may be something you find quite interesting or pleasant, or it can be an unpleasant memory or something. It can be very quick to fill the mind, take away our mindfulness. We lose concentration, lose awareness of the breath and get caught up into that train of thought. So you have to be on your guard. But it's just normal. That's the way the mind is. So you don't have to suffer or get upset if that happens. Just accept it's the normal activity of the mind, jumping from thought to thought, mood to mood. But your aim now is to bring attention back to the breath as quickly as possible, to drop or let go of these different moods that come into the mind or come up with the mind. So you need a lot of patient effort. Need to relax a bit, not get too uptight or upset just because your mind has not settled down yet. But keep continuing with the effort for a little bit longer until you hear the bell. Just practice mindfulness directed to the breath. And when you're knowing that breath, you're knowing that it's going in. You know the beginning of the breath, the middle, the end of the breath. You're knowing the breath is going in, you're knowing the breath going out. And then your mind is following the instructions you've given it. When you're thinking about other things, you've forgotten. You've forgotten the breath, you've forgotten the instructions. You have to keep reminding yourself to come back to the breath until it sticks, stays with the breath more and more. And the breath will become more pleasant, enjoyable for you. And you'll get to know it better. Know some of the subtleties of the breath. Especially as your attention goes more inwards to the breath and you stop thinking about things outside of yourself, the past, the future, sounds, other things going on around you. At this time you can afford to let it all go. So keep following the breath and you'll find mindfulness improves, however slowly. You can't force it. Just keep working with your own distracted states of mind to let them go. Come back to the breath until we hear the sound of the bell.